One more time, we're back. Herbst Racing, KQEG TV, along with Al Ossie. I'm Dan Diker. Thanks for joining us. Early in the season, this is show number 3, which has already been blowing by so fast. Racing comes up in another 6 weeks. Our guest, Lacrosse Speedway NASCAR late model champion Jay Herbst, his father, car owner, and crew chief Terry. I like when they both can come in, and I like to do that. I like, just because I get a driver on doesn't mean I can't have a family member on as well. And I don't think that there's been a time in 7 years that I've walked by your pit and he's not in the hood, under the car, yelling at someone in the trailer. I mean, he's always there. I mean, you talk about a permanent fixture, that's Terry.
I've only missed one race, and it's when he was Oktoberfest 2 years? No, we were running ASA National Late Model Series. And I went to Canada duck and goose hunting, and I didn't get back in time. It's the only time I missed a race when he was racing late models.
Bet you were mad too, weren't you? You wanted to be there.
No, I was on the phone every 5 minutes.
He was more upset when he found out how we qualified.
Ah,
because we qualified in the top 5, and they were on their way back, but they just plain didn't make it back in time. The hunting was too good, he said.
So you win a track championship, not only using one car, but 2 cars last year. I was standing in the pits when I saw you go up out of turn 1 into the turn 2 wall. You had to go in a backup car. You had several drivers that were in that backup car. How much of a challenge was it when you lost your starting car, your prime car, to make all the adjustments, not only to make that car race to your specifications, but not skip a heartbeat in the process?
It was pretty tough, but I mean, the Always Ready Mix crew, they're pretty steadfast on what they do, and they knew what changes were made for other people so that we could relatively go back on those changes and get through that first night that we were there. But then it was a week's, a good solid few nights in the shop, making sure that all our T's were crossed and our I's were dotted on the setup that we had wanted in the car for that following week.
And then, of course, you go back to the track with your fingers crossed that everything that they've done in the shop relates to what you can do with it on the track.
Yes, but like I said, I've got a pretty solid crew, and they're pretty diligent about what they want and what I want in the car on how to get it done. That there was a struggle or two, but once we figured out the different personality of that car and that engine combination, we were back rolling again.
The best tool on a racing team is usually a pen and a piece of paper. I'm sure you keep really good notes so that like he says, he can go back to what the car was, the way he liked it, so they just go back and look at the notes.
But there was many times last year, because I stop and see you before every single race, shake your hand, shake Terry's hand. You weren't happy with your starting car up until you had to use the backup. I mean, there was many times you said, I'm just going to leave this thing sit here, I'm going to run the backup.
Yeah, once after that bad wreck that we had in practice, we got the car back together, and to the racetrack, there were some little things, gremlins that we could not find, that made the car very uncomfortable, and we had done countless testing days to try and figure that out. And it got to the point where I just got frustrated and mad about it and just piloted the other car for the remaining portion of the season. And looking back, I'm sure glad I did.
So 2012 brings you 2 cars. How close are you ready to? Could you race tomorrow if we have the weather like we have this week?
No, I would need a few more extra days. I'll have one car 100% ready to go minus the lettering after this week, and then probably the following week after that, the other car will be ready.
So there's going to be some teammate things going on this year. I mean, we already saw it come out in the newspaper right after Oktoberfest last year with one member of Lacrosse Speedway. And it's the guys that have 2 or 3 cars. The rumor mill is you have a teammate, you don't have a teammate. Who is going to be driving the backup car?
Mark Lamoureux will be driving our backup car the first 2 weeks of the season, and then he will periodically drive it from there on out. To fill in the other nights, don't know yet. Haven't approached anybody, haven't talked to anybody.
But both cars will be at the racetrack?
More than likely, yes.
Because what happens if you're in your car one night and you spin it out like you did in practice, if you don't have the backup there, then what happens?
We have an affiliation with a couple other teams that will allow us to use their car if need be.
See, again, that just, when I use the word family, and I've used it on this show for the past 2 years, I've DJ'd a couple smokers this year. I see what drivers come out and support drivers. It's things like that that people don't hear about. They don't know that there's, well, we didn't think you liked this guy, or what happens to this racer this night because he's going to give up his car. But again, it just exemplifies the word family at the La Crosse Speedway.
Yeah, we just approached a couple different teams, and we're willing to share some of our knowledge and help them go faster around the track. And at the same time, if we don't have a backup car there and we need a car, that we know one of those cars is available for us to use.
Jay, you also won, besides this beautiful hardware here, not to downgrade that at all, the 2011 Showmanship Award at the La Crosse Speedway Banquet. What did that mean to you this year to get the Showmanship Award?
That meant a lot because I try to pride myself on thanking the fans that show up every week, and that's what racing is about. That's why we're there. I mean, yeah, we have a passion for the sport and love to go fast and turn left and win races and championships, but we're there to put on a show also for the spectator, the people that don't have the ability to go out and race or the means to do that, but they enjoy the sport and are just as passionate about it as we are. And same with all my sponsors. They're just as passionate about it as we are. And it's just thanking them every week. I mean, they're the reason why we do it.
And he does, too. There's several times I had him on the front straightaway last year, and I built up this huge, fantastic question, and he quashed it by having to thank the fans first. And then I had to rethink what I just got to ask him.
Well, the fans are important. They really are.
And it's funny because as soon as he gets up, here comes some little kids running to the fence right there as well. It's always neat to see that.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I love the fact when I can bring my girls down on the front stretch with me and stuff, and they can be running around the car on the front stretch, or take the microphone out of your hand. And it's about the fans and putting a show on for them. And without the fans being in the stands, there wouldn't be any place for us to go and perform.
Well, besides the fans, you're not even performing out there unless you've got a bunch of sponsors that help you out, and I know you've got some that have been with you since almost day one.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've got really great sponsors. I mean, Always Ready Mix, of course. I mean, they've been with us for a long time. J&R Transport, Badger Corrugating. I'd like to welcome Thompson Drywall and Plastering and Stucco. They came on board this year. You have Viking Electric, Fechner Motors, Carpet City, Elite Excavating, Fjord Bar and Grill in Coon Valley. Great pizza. You got GMAC Construction, Custom Craft Concrete.
Affordable Concrete.
Oh, the list keeps getting longer and longer.
Can you tell they're in the construction field?
Wagner Motors for the great horsepower and reliability under the hood. I can't say enough about those guys.
Your crew members?
Oh, crew, Lucas, our crew chief. He's just the owner and the tire guy. Lucas is the crew chief. My car chief, Corey, Jason, Jerry. You know, it's just all those guys and the sponsors that we have, they are the ones that make us able to do it. And the crew guys are the ones that give me the car that makes it like I'm so great. It's their hard work is what gives me a good car.
Well, it's all going to come to a big culmination on April 28th once we get our very first points night out at La Crosse Speedway. I know in the back of his head he's going to have this on the helmet. He's going to have those sitting back in the room in his house with one goal this year, and that is to make it back-to-back track championships, possibly, which would be really neat. I have to look in the archives, see when somebody has got a back-to-back state track champion. We'll see if Jay can do that this year. I want to thank Terry and Jay for coming in today. Jay, congratulations last year. This is neat to have this in here. I really appreciate you bringing in the hardware.
Oh, hey, it's not a problem. I mean, you know, like you said, a lot of people don't really get to see the stuff that NASCAR does for us, and like I said before and you know earlier, they put on a first-class red carpet affair when they do it, and they really want to, you know, congratulate you and you know, and give you things to show off the accomplishments that yourself and your team has done throughout the year. And this is the way that they can do it.
Now, hopefully we get to do a show this time next year where Jay's got more of this same hardware here in the studio. Terry Herbst and Jay Herbst along with Al Losey. My name is Dan Diger. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, youtube.com/7rivers-racing. You can also find this show on Facebook. Also coming up, AM 580 WKTY, my race report show coming up on Saturdays. We'll have Jay on that program several times this year as well. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week as we get closer to racing here in Western Wisconsin, along with 7 Rivers Racing and KQEG TV.